come on as well. So we do record this, and we will be posting them and sending you an email to get a virtual copy of it as well, so that you have everything to take a look at. So, hey, I see some more Canucks up here. I haven't seen you guys in a while. What's happening over there? I see the smiles. Nice. All right. So basically, I want to start us out with something a little different. Win stories. One of the things that nobody's talking about right now that I think is endlessly important is to realize that there are some really powerfully positive things, some silver linings that are happening. Your communities are coming together in a really awesome way, which I just think is so impressive because it's a testament to all of the great stuff that you guys have been doing. And I had a really interesting question come in email yesterday. Someone was asking, they said, look, we haven't done anything online. I don't even go on Facebook. We don't do live videos, nothing. But now we're trying to transition to do something online because everyone's saying we should do it. I'm scared of doing it. I don't think that it's actually going to work. I'm not sure it's actually going to do anything. So I'm here to tell you that the exact opposite is true. This is a little bit like a race right now where everyone's trying to go online at the same time. But you have to realize that the reason people are going online is not to take a yoga class. The reason people are going online is to take your yoga classes from your studio to support you. That's a huge element of this as well. So one of the big win stories, Maria, one of our coaches, sent me a text last night, and she had an Inferno Hot Pilates class on. She had over 80 people come online to take this class. So, I mean, that was incredible. Her class can't even fit 80 people normally. So technically it's the largest class she's run, I think, in her studio. And we're talking about like full paying members. This wasn't like some random free thing or anything like that as well. So I'm just here to tell you that like your communities are here to support you, and people do want to participate with you specifically. Putting yourself out there right now, you know, quality and everything else aside, is important just to show sort of your community that you're still here trying to do something positive for them, and that you're really not looking for just some sort of a handout. Not that any of you are saying that, but that you're really actively going to, you know, help yourselves and help them. The other big win story, we've had a couple of reports now from my group and outside of the group of students coming out of the woodwork. In one case, there were students who had moved all the way across the country, but just loved the studio they had previously gone to. They phoned them up and said, hey, I know you still have my credit card. It's valid. Can you please charge me for a membership because I want to take your online classes? So all of a sudden, their environment has expanded beyond their physical location as well. And then the final one that I thought was really awesome was kind of the same story. Student sent an email and said, look, I haven't been in the studio for a few months because I've been dealing with a really difficult personal time, but I wanted to tell you that I really appreciate how your studio has supported me throughout the years, made me stronger as a person, physically, mentally, emotionally. Please pay for an annual class with my credit card right now, because I want to support you. So these are the things that the news and the other stories and all of the, how do we do this and that, like we don't talk about them, we don't register them. So just, you need to hear them because there are members in your communities who are, you know, eager to be helpful to you just through their pure participation as well. So a couple of really great win stories. Now, as a continuation from yesterday, we had a few questions that we didn't get to in our hour. So the first one is paying teachers and staff. This has been a huge conversation. Let me preface everything I'm about to say by saying I am not a lawyer and I don't know the specific unique laws and situations to your country or state necessarily. So you do always have to look at that first. That's what I would say. But in terms of paying teachers, this is sort of, it could be precarious for you as a studio for a few reasons. We did touch on this yesterday. This is what I would recommend you consider. The first thing is, if you have independent contractors instead of employees, in most countries of the world and in most states, despite what is normal in the yoga and fitness world, they are probably not, technically speaking, an independent contractor. So what is risky here is if you have a group of independent contractors who now don't make any money, want to claim UI, and they can't. So then they come back and say, oh, wait, actually, I was an employee for you. Now I can claim it, and then you get dinged. So that's the concern. I don't want to say that to like freak people out and, you know, get people all paranoid about it, but I just think that we need to understand every level of liability we have in our business in general, but especially right now. If you have employees, it's a little bit different. Now, at least in the United States, I know as well in Canada, the federal level government has put special parameters and rules in place, or let's say special flexibilities in place to allow for each state or province to make more flexible decisions on who receives unemployment insurance. So your employees of your studio probably fall into that category under the special allowances, assuming the state has decided to utilize them and abide by them. So you need to check for your local area. The reason why this is on your radar as the owner of the studio is that there is a lot of weird stuff being said out there, a lot of fake sort of stuff. I hate to say fake news, but like there's a lot of sort of hearsay, people just talking because everyone wants to know something. But a lot of it isn't very exact. So you need to go research for yourself. And your teachers are hearing a lot of really weird things. I get teachers contacting me right now, and they're asking, interesting questions about how they can sort of leverage this situation to their advantage because they're feeling scarcity right now. So if you can help empower your teachers through knowledge of understanding what options are actually there, I think that would go an exceedingly long way. The other detail here is just to be a good charismatic leader and sort of simply say to your teachers, have a Zoom meeting with them like this, or if you're still allowed to meet in person, do it right now and just say, yo, like, we've got your back. We know this is hard. We're in this together. You're part of our family and we want to support you in whatever way that we can, but we also have to be real about how we can. Could go a really, really long way. So my recommendation, if you haven't done something like this yet, because I know some of us are feeling like we just froze for maybe 5 days here and that's how quickly it all sort of changed. That's okay. Nothing's too late. You're not like behind the 8 ball. Nothing's going to implode, but start taking action now. So what I would say is, if it's within your cash flow means at this moment, I would recommend continuing to pay your staff at their normal rate just through like this week. If you've got lots of cash in the bank, maybe next week, to buffer them and immediately have a meeting with them about what phase 2 is going to look like in this whole situation, assuming that it continues along. Phase 2 would be, what special programs are available for them for funding? Can they get unemployment insurance? And if so, there's going to be a long list of people leaning into this. Go and get it right now. If you as a business as well, this does tie together, and I don't want to tangent too much. If you are also starting to get concerned with cash flow, there are special small business programs that are starting to prop up. So keep your ear to the ground for that. For example, I don't know what's happening state by state or in the United States right now, but I know in the Netherlands and in Europe, there's a few programs that are already launched. Canada just launched special loan programs that are like 0 interest or extremely low interest kind of line of credit things, where you can access in one of the things on the GRC website. If you're a larger business, you can access like up to $100,000 in cash flow to float your business right now. So it is possible to get some sort of help on that level. I don't think that most of us are going to need to go that route, but no, have it on your radar. And if you think that it's possible, I would start applying and going through those processes now, because as we know, anything governmentally run takes longer than we think. It's not going to happen overnight. So keep an eye on that. Now for your staff, so we give them sort of a buffer minute here where they can recalibrate. We have a conversation with about phase 2. We get them on UI. And then the other detail here, because there was a lot of confusion, I phoned our yoga lawyer, Corey, again yesterday, and Nina, our specialist in the numbers, and sort of asked everyone I know. As far as I understand, there could be an exception to this, but most of the places in the world for unemployment insurance, they can still work for you teaching a yoga class online or recording a class or doing something else, and it wouldn't nullify their unemployment insurance because of how many hours they're working and how much money they're making. So you can't get UI if you're making a bunch of money and working a 30-hour job, obviously, but they're not going to be doing that. So there is no conflict between them, probably no conflict between them going and getting UI and you still giving them some employment to keep them busy, engaged, and making some extra coin that's maybe a little bit faster than the UI as well. So I would just keep that on your radar here too. Now, to that point, and those of you in the chat, I'm going to have to go back and forth and check it out. Oh, we have some people posting in the chat just about small business loans that are coming through. Yeah, awesome. So really, really excellent to see that, you know, we're getting some sort of help from the big guys, let's say, as well. Now, the other thing is, what do you pay your teachers if you want them to live stream a class? What do you pay your teachers if you want them to film a class in their house? What do you pay your teachers if you want them to like build a tutorial? How do you figure out a pay structure for this that's sensical for you and sensical for them? Some of you, if you're a Pilates studio or a bar studio or something like that, you may already have a pay structure that sort of allows for this, assuming that your personal pricing hasn't drastically changed. We're going to address that next too. So assuming your pricing has stayed kind of the same at this moment still, I would be looking at paying your teachers a reduced rate, and you have to give them a sensical parameter. If you just go to your teachers and say, yo, you were making $50 a class and now I'm going to pay you 10, they're not going to like that, obviously. So it has to just make sense to you and to them. So I would just say, let's be real about this. You used to teach a class that was 75 minutes long. I needed you to be here 30 minutes before setting up and 30 minutes after helping with students or whatever else. So if we break that down by time, we're at, let's round up the 15 minutes for the sake of talking. You got paid $23.50 an hour, basically. So there's your per hour rate. Maybe you bump it down slightly so that it's realistic for you, $20 an hour. And then you say, if you want to, this is optional, you are agreeing to this under your own accord, I would love to have you film a class or live stream a class for an hour long, and I will pay you for that hour, because there is no cleanup, there is no setup, there is like the other stuff that was there from the studio isn't quite there in the same way. So I think it's fair for us to say that I'm going to pay you this hourly rate, but it's just going to be for the actual produced class. Now, maybe you tack on an extra 30 minutes of that hour because there is 15 minutes of getting the camera set up or showing up or whatever, any small things like that. That might make it more realistic for you and realistic for them, because the one thing that you can bring to them, one thing that I would be saying to your staff for any members that are like panicking because they're not making enough money, and again, this comes back to if your business can afford it, right now we're in a volume game as well. So live streaming classes is one thing, building up a bank of recorded classes increases the perceived value of your membership. So you're going to be able to hold your prices higher longer if you have a larger bank of online stuff. That's my opinion. So if you had 10 teachers and they each shot one class, you would have 10 classes. That's a good amount of volume. If you have 10 teachers and each shot 4 classes though, which hypothetically they could do in one day, then you have 40 classes. So your bank is 4 times as large with the same one day of work either way. Because once you're set up your camera and your backdrop and whatever else you're going to do, it's already ready to go. So I would just suggest that they could actually increase their temporary income for a minute, assuming it is approved by you, by doing multiple classes under one day filmed so that you have a larger bank of things built up. So these are just solutions I would take to them. Whether they opt into this or not is less relevant than the fact that you're demonstrating that you understand that their situation is not easy and that you're trying to help them in every way that you have power to do so. Now, beyond that, I would just say that there are alternative things that we could do. Yeah, Kay was just asking, what about paying desk staff, ideas for any work to give them, one assistant doing social media stuff for 2 hours a week. Yes, Kay, awesome. Are instructors allowed to record their classes in studio alone? Some instructors don't have a good place to teach. Okay, 2 separate questions. So, Kay, we're gonna get to yours in a minute. For instructors specifically, are they allowed to go to your studio and film a class? I mean, the whole quarantine concept is the group gathering. I don't know. That depends on where you are and how serious it is. I know you guys that are in New Zealand right now, it's like hasn't got there in a big way all the way yet. So right now, for example, it's a time, and if you're in somewhere in Canada where you're not in total lockdown or anywhere else, like right now at this second, I'm telling you, you got about 2 days. Now is the time to bulk create filmed content with your staff if you're going to do it together, because now is when you're going to be able to do it. That might not be possible moving forward. Yeah, in California, can they go to the studio? I don't think, let me just say this really clearly. I don't think there's any law prohibiting them from specifically going to the studio to film. And that might be a good solution for you at this moment in time. So yes, if they don't have a space to film, you can get them to go and go to your place. Now, if you have instructors or front desk staff, back to Kay's question here, if you can, see if you can get them to do other tasks. We talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. I'll say it every single meeting. If you as the owner or owners burn out, if you go down, because right now you're running at 150%, I know half of you, you're totally effed. I see kids on the screen. I'm not going to totally throw that out. You are totally in trouble. Okay. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to keep yourself healthy, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, financially, all of it right now. What that means is there's a few things you can do for that. But one of the things is if you have people who need work right now, maybe delegating some tasks to them especially the things that burn you out, now would be a really great time. So simple things like social media, you could probably pre-schedule one post a day for the next week or something, predictably, and have the posts be relevant to what's going on, especially around your class schedule and stuff, without it being too wonky. You don't need to do that. Get someone else to do that instead. Pay them extra to promote their classes in our businesses. Yes, Amanda was just making the suggestion. You could sort of look at this from a marketing standpoint as well on social media. I think there are some definite marketing advantages. If you have yourself and your one business page in your studio organically promoting that you have online classes, because probably we don't want to spend too much money on paid advertisements right now in a lot of cases. There are exceptions to that. You might actually want to be spending money on paid advertisements. But you by yourself, you're only going to have a limited amount of reach. If your community gets on board and they start to help share, you have way more reach for free. So your staff are the first people I would go to for that. So you could give like a little bonus so that it's not anything specific. I would just be saying, we have these online classes, especially your classes that you're teaching. If you spend the time to put a post across a minimum of 2 platforms that has a solid write-up and a good photo or something like that, we'll give you a $5 bonus per class, or like whatever you want it to be, but give them those little extra things. For your front desk staff, it depends on what they know. I think if your front desk staff understands the administrative duties that can be helpful for you, that can be really powerful. Simple things like right now we're going in mind body and moving a lot of scheduling stuff around and whatever. So just be able to give them something to do there as well. Okay, let me just check these comments and then we're gonna go on to the next thing here. First look at cash flow. Yes, employment. Yes, Merritt, that's exactly what we kind of said at the start. Always make sure this is relevant to your cash flow. I know that, as heart-centered yogapreneurs and wellnesspreneurs that are on this call right now, we want to do good for the people around us. Taking care of yourself by making sure that you don't accidentally negatively impact your own cash flow is not being rude to someone else. It's being smart. It's taking care of yourself. So make sure that happens as well. Should all auto pays be automatically canceled? We stopped all auto pay memberships, no money coming in from the month of the 16th on. Yes, Novo Yoga, if I'm correct, you guys are in Italy. So totally different situation. The level of what's going on, different. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about our pricing for a second, because I don't think I have a slide on it. Your pricing right now, California, thank you. There's another yoga with a similar name. Pricing right now, and one of the things that we're seeing other studios do is just drop the price of everything by half, or just cancel all memberships and say, hey, sign up for our new online membership that's ultra cheap, or whatever. This is a really tricky thing to calculate and project on, so you're gonna have to just do the best you can. My recommendation would be, if you've already done something, go backwards, but I would not change any of your pricing just for a minute. Because even in California and these places where these mandates are coming down, I think that you want to just leave them alone for a second and then get prepared on what the second tier is going to be. As I said, first off, there'll be a lot of people that are happy to pay you $100 a month like they've been paying you because they want to support. And the one thing to consider is if they can't pay you that, they're going to tell you. So what I would suggest is that you prepare a downsell instead. If I'm at home, like I'm working online with you guys right now, I would be an example, not actually me specifically, but for a lot of businesses, you know, I know that the guys that work at MindBody Online, and I know that the crews that are working, you know, in your Silicon Valley companies or whatever, they're still getting paid their full salary right now. They're just working from home. So it's not a stress for them to keep paying you the full amount. If you drop your price by half, you would have to double your members to maintain a similar cash flow. If you keep your price the same, you could lose 25%, but you would still be ahead in total cash flow that you have than if you dropped your price by half. You see what I'm saying? So there's a magic calculation here. That's why I'm saying leave your prices how they are, and then prep a downsell. When someone wants to cancel or pause, you could say, yes, but would this option work better for you? And just say, like, we do have this option that people are, so no suggesting a price for online classes. No, I think for online classes, they're just your classes right now. It's different. This is what I would do for the minute, but this is what I'm saying. You need to have the downsell. So the downsell is, okay, our classes are online. We understand that it's a little bit different right now. Someone comes in, they say, I'm going to cancel because it's just not, you know, I can't afford to keep paying this. I don't have my job right now. I'd be like, hey, I totally get it. This is hard for all of us. Would this work for you? Like, what could you pay basically? Or here's our other option. Why don't you just get access to our online classes unlimited, and it's only $50 a month, or it's only $25 a month, or $30 a month. Just know what that downsell is, and have you and your staff or whoever's going to be communicating prepped with it so that you can give it to them right away to try to save it. That's what I would do right now. Then afterwards, I would suggest that, hang on, let me just do hold. Don't do holds, but automatically hold everyone. Yeah. Yes. And if people want to hold, obviously putting things on hold is better than cancellations completely, because one of the things to have on your radar, you guys, is if I cancel this is the same as like when those of you who have that summertime slump, right? It's the same thing. If I cancel my membership right now and this whole thing is over, because best case scenario, we've got a vaccine on the horizon, we've flattened out the curve, the medical system catches up, our testing is there, everyone's ready to go, the economy starts to pick back up in a couple months from now. If I've canceled, I have no obligation to do anything with you. I have to, on my own accord, de-stress myself, make a decision, show back up, phone you, email you, call you, whatever, and then sign back up again. That's a way harder sell than it's on pause, everything's good, you're allowed to offer classes again, you blast out an email that says, yo, your memberships are going. Now you'll get some cancellations at that moment, but you'll get a bunch of people that would have taken another 6 weeks to 2 months to come back in, all of a sudden showing back up because you're calling them to action. So on the back end of this, it could protect you in a special way is not. Why not suspend regular memberships and just make an online subscription? Yes, you can do that, you guys. I'm not saying that you don't. What I'm suggesting is I don't think you need to do it out of panic. I'm seeing a lot of studios, especially in the Cali region, who are panicking and being like, we canceled all your memberships. You don't get charged right now, and it's now $20 a month. You just cut your cash flow down by like 8 times, 5, 10 times, whatever, like instantly. If you're in this for the long haul, it might be better for you to play it a little bit cooler, right? So leave it alone, have a downsell. Once you get to, this is why you've got to make a little calculation. Once you get to a threshold where the number of people canceling or pausing is getting so much that you know, and you're going to have to trust your gut, you know that you aren't going to be able to keep enough of them at your full price anymore to make any serious cash flow, that's when you might make a price change. I don't think that is here yet. I think that's in a week from now or a month from now, or maybe doesn't even come. So I'm telling you, like, play it a little bit cool on this whole thing. Be prepared for it mentally, know what it is, but that's it. How about discounted intro for online classes from $39 to $19? That's a good idea, Jackie. I think doing some sort of a special discount, 1 month discount, or whatever else is a good idea. The other option there is just sell them your downsell. Like, hey, we're supporting our community by keeping our teachers employed and our employees going and keeping you healthy. Get our special online membership sort of thing as well. Yeah. Okay. Kim, just go back to the start of the meeting. We did cover paying teachers, but yes, I would pay them less because I'd be working it out and paying them per hour for this as well. Okay, a few other things that we want to put onto their radar. Oh yes, we have copied it from someone in the group. Virtual classes for $30 a week, not touching current members, accepting cancels, blah, 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 blah. Yes, interesting idea. You could switch the parameters of when they're charged as well. Okay, waivers, liabilities, insurance, thing like this. I want to put this stuff on your radar because I just think it's not being talked about by most of us. So your normal waiver, first off, let me say this. Corey said this so eloquently. He's our yoga lawyer. Right now, people probably aren't looking at, hey, how do I screw somebody? You know, like, how do I be the person who ends up on top here? And like, that's not the general psyche of your people. So we shouldn't, you know, be approaching this with fear. My counterpoint, though, is only that, yeah, Nicole De Loretto was just saying, Corey revamped her waiver and everything in under 24 hours. So he's a good resource for you guys. I'll put it in the chat in a second. Actually, could you put his email in the chat for us, Nicole, just so people have access to it? Tell him that you have been on these meetings with us as well, because I think that helps light a fire on his butt if you're from the Yogapreneur Collective. Okay, so the point here, though, is you just want to keep yourself protected, because where I get concerned is where people's money is taken from their pockets. So if suddenly people are stressed on a financial side in any way, they do funny, weird things. That's my concern. Now, depending on where you are in the world, this may or may not be as, you know, a big deal. But the bottom line here is that your general liability waiver that people sign when they come to your physical brick and mortar studio, in most cases that I've seen, does not include the necessary parameters for you to be teaching them an online class that they are paying for at home. The two major clauses that I would suggest you just go see if there's something in there. There's actually three, but the two ones that are the most important here. One is the environment that they are practicing in. There's a general understanding that you are going to provide a safe environment for practice when I come to your physical yoga studio. On the other hand, if I'm practicing yoga under your guidance in my living room and I fall over in a headstand and land on my kid's toy train and pop out a vertebrae, there's nothing covering you for that. Now, is it likely that that person's going to be like, that's your fault? No, of course not. But let's just make sure that there's no random bullshit, right? That's what we're talking about here. So it might make sense to update your waiver and get people participating online for it to include that their environment is their responsibility, not yours. You are providing good instruction. They're providing the environment and the equipment necessary on their own, and it has nothing to do with you. The second thing right now that is specific to the circumstances and also not specific to the circumstances, some of you may already have this in your waiver, is your waiver needs to include a parameter that says something about them being physically fit to practice yoga. If someone comes into your studio and they are directly physically in front of you and they sign your waiver that says their doctor says they can practice and you can personally help them in real time, your risk level is extremely low that you're going to cause any harm to somebody. Hypothetically, someone can be practicing without a video on an online class and not be physically fit. And if they have coronavirus and don't know it yet, might be having a respiratory issue. So you might be helping them accelerate that or do something negative. That's where the concern here would be. So it just needs to say somewhere in there, yo, you are agreeing to do this practice on your own accord. You are physically fit and healthy to do so as based on your doctor, blah, 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 that sort of stuff. Now, really quickly, the two questions that'll happen, Nicole just posted Corey's email. It's corey@consciouscounsel.ca. Yes, it's a .ca. He's a Canadian lawyer. He's a nomad like myself. I think he's in Brazil right now, of all places. He's stuck there. But the point is, he can write these waivers for you anywhere. His turnaround time for him and his team right now, he's saying, is 24 hours. In the last 24 hours, he did it for Nicole. So if you need a quick, official yoga lawyer level updated waiver, he's like ready to bang it out for you really quickly. So I would reach out to him. Again, tell him you're from the Yogapreneur Collective, just so that he knows where you're coming from, because I think he tries to give you some of the VIP treatment as well. Now, the final question is, okay, cool. I've got this waiver. How do I actually get everybody to sign this thing? That's really where the question comes up next. So all you need is, who is he? Corey is Corey Sterling from Conscious Counsel. He is a lawyer who specializes in fitness, wellness, and yoga law. He's been traveling around for years. He literally wrote the book Yoga Law. I have it over here. I'll grab it and show you at the end. If you have your own lawyer, they can do the same thing. It's just his specialty, and he's very quick because he's only focused on this. Okay. Now, for online, you can change the waiver that is in your mind-body system, and then ask everybody, send an electronic update for people to have to agree to it again. But that's actually maybe less easy than you using something like Waiver King or DocuSign and just blasting it out to all of your people and saying, yo, if you want to participate in online classes, we do have to update this waiver. Please sign this, and sending it to them. If you want to really heavily enforce, you would technically have to check that the waiver is signed before they come and participate in an online class. I don't know if I would go that far personally, but yeah, keep yourself safe. Would you recommend offering an incentive, i.e. locked in price, free month when we reopen, etc., if they stay on during this time? Lisa, that's a really good idea. Maybe. What I would say is, yeah, what I would say is I wouldn't want to draw attention to the cancellation. So the timing of that delivery has to be very intelligent. If you're getting a mass exodus, you might say something like that, like, hey, we're going to do this online stuff. We're still offering this. What we're going to do is sort of a pay it forward situation. If you stay on at your full price right now, we're going to credit back 50% of it towards membership once everything's up and running and back at normal. That would be, yeah, a good way to do it. Jackie was asking about liability insurance covering social media online classes. Yeah, this is so the two things, this and music is actually our next slide as well that we'll get onto in a second. There seem to be, again, this is not official, it's specific to your area, to your country, to your state, to your situation, but there seems to be some additional flexibility going on right now in a few different things, such as insurance liability and things like this. So it would be worth checking. You can start a Zoom class with a slide of written text that says something like, you're doing this in your own risk, AKA old school Jane Fonda workout video would. Yeah, you're totally right, Chris. I love it. So have the liability thing right in there if you're doing Zoom for your classes. You can actually post into comments and stuff as well if you're live streaming, such as onto Vimeo or any of the platforms that we were talking about yesterday, you guys, all right? So one of the things, though, to consider is, yeah, your insurance. Do your instructors have their own personal liability insurance? Are they under your insurance? If they're under your insurance, does your insurance cover them teaching from their house? That sort of stuff. No one, Corey said this again yesterday, no one's sitting in some office somewhere like, who can we get right now? Like, I bet you there's a yoga studio somewhere who's incorrectly utilizing their whatever. Like, that's not really what's happening. So don't let this stuff overstress you, but just be aware. You don't want to be ignorant to something or totally naive about it and then get dinged on the back end. So know what your insurance covers. See if there's any adjustments there. Maybe there's nothing to do. Now, music licensing, this was a question that came up about 50 times yesterday throughout the day, which I thought was really interesting that suddenly people are concerned about it, because the truth is, if you are teaching like an Inferno Hot Pilates class or a flow class with music that you normally maybe have been using like a Spotify playlist premium or something like that in the studio, but now all of a sudden you're streaming it live, people are hearing it and they're paying you for it, and it's part of the class, that is technically straight up unlicensed music use. So what I would be the most concerned about isn't like someone suing you because you did a live class with their song in the background. That's less of a concern to me than it is that you record the class, put it on your website so there's permanent proof with that song in there. They find it in 4 years from now and then get on you about it. That's actually where I'd be aware. So obviously in the United States, there's the ASAP that you can go to and get a music license for. I'm not sure internationally how that one works. You just go, it's the top link here, ascap.com. You just go there and you can get music that is specifically for running a fitness or yoga class. My understanding is they are giving some level of flexibility, or there seems to be some level of flexibility for if people have the proper license and have just transitioned online. Because technically it is a different license. I'm just saying it so you know, there's a different license that you use if you're going to run music in an advertisement or a live stream or something online than it is if you're in a physical brick and mortar business. So go look at their licensing, see what's up. If you're recording your classes and you're going to overlay music after the fact, so doing it in real time won't work, but you want to do it after the fact, YouTube's audio library is stupidly good and 100% free. So go look at that. If you want to go really premium, Epidemic Sound does have a membership you have to pay, but it's got epic level sounds in there. Every sound, music, style, genre, quality you could possibly think of is definitely in there. You can sort it by mood, genre, all sorts of other things. So that's a really cool one to do there. We have this for videos on our website. Are these videos okay? I don't know specifically, Lisa. What I seem to understand is probably yes. Probably that it's going to be okay if you already have that license. 1 minute, 3 seconds of Sony Minute, 3 minutes of Warner Brothers, Big Brother, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Audio on Zoom, if your new mic is not great, stop using, maybe better with the mic. Casa Yoga is asking, audio on Zoom using a mic is not great. So one of the questions that comes up sometimes, you guys, is how do I actually get the music to sound good on the consumer's side if I'm using Zoom? So if you have a really good microphone and you can actually technically hook 2 microphones up, that can work. But unless it's like a pretty decent condenser mic or something that you have in the center of the room, it still might not come out quite that nicely. It might come out echoey. So the alternative here, depending on the class, is you could share your playlist. So especially if you're using Sonos with Spotify or something like that, you can make the playlist ahead of time. And at the start of the class, put it in the chat and say, yo, this is the playlist. Go get the playlist right now. And we're going to start in 2 minutes. And then they can play the playlist on their own device from their own house on their own accord, because you are allowed to share the playlist publicly if you have premium Spotify, and then they have really high quality sound. And then all you need is that your voice is close to the microphone so that your voice comes through nice and strong, but the music is more in the background of your room than what is actually going on. So that would be one of the ways that you could solve for this. That would work for basically all classes here as well. Yeah, plus sharing the playlist is a nerdily fun thing to do that people will like. I would actually recommend, someone came up with this concept yesterday, if you're sharing your playlists for your flow classes or your IHP classes or your spinning classes or whatever it is that you're doing, you should have a playlist competition right now just to keep people, like, they're sitting at home listening to music and stuff. What the hell else are they doing? So have a playlist competition, and you're going to get 15 or 20 or 30 or 100, who knows, awesome playlists that are directly from your clients, which is also giving you a ton of data telling them what it is that they want to hear in a playlist in your classes. So that's stuff you can use for a long time. I think it would be fun for them to do, fun for you. I don't even think you need to give them any special kickback on it. I think you just make it awesome. You could even then, how do you share a playlist? Val, it depends on what platform we're talking about. So if you have a playlist on Spotify, you click the 3 dots and there's a share button. I think you need to have Spotify Premium to share it publicly across the whole thing. If someone has more detailed steps for how to share the playlist on Spotify, and you could share them in the comments, that would be awesome. Okay, so what about yin classes with nature sounds only in the background, sounds of birds or oceans? Does that require a music license? Probably not. I mean, here's the thing. If you can make a really strong argument that the sounds that you're playing are not a copyrighted music thing, they're just like rando sounds that, because you could be playing YouTube music on the side, like birds chirping or whatever like that, you're probably not going to get dinged on it or something like that. I don't think, again, I don't think anyone's looking to ding anyone right now and really go after this, but just be smart about it, I guess would be the point here that I would say. Okay, so beyond this, let's get this moved over for a little bit. What should you launch next week? So people are saying, okay, we're coming to the end of this week. I think the rest of this week and weekend for most of you is like getting your feet under you, getting your Zoom or your Vimeo or your YouTube or your system set up, getting your login protected website page set up where you can build your bank of things for people, all of that stuff. So just stay focused on that. Don't try to do too much at once. But maybe next week, what do you start working on? I think right now would be one of the best times ever for you to have a yoga challenge. So remember, the goal that we talked about yesterday at this moment in time is not to teach yoga classes. The goal is to keep your community engaged with you. It's really that simple. So what can you do to keep your community engaged with you? I think that doing something like, hey, who's got the best playlist that we can share for the studio is probably a really good one. A yoga challenge would be a really awesome one as well. You could call it like I don't know. If you're hardcore, call it like the quarantine yoga challenge. That might not land quite as well in all markets. So use that gently. You could also just call it the do it at home yoga challenge. I don't know. Corona sucks challenge. Yeah, exactly. I love it. The Corona sucks challenge, CSC. Love it. I think that that's a good idea. So the challenge, I mean, the idea is just to keep people engaged with you. One of the things that I think is really kind of cool that we talked about yesterday for a yoga challenge right now is that there may be an opportunity for you to introduce new elements of yoga and yoga-ish stuff to your community just to keep them engaged and keep the novelty level of their frontal lobe stimulation firing. And the yoga challenge would be one of the best delivery methods for that. So that's where you have like weirdly shorter classes, a meditation class, or whatever else, like these other outside of the box things, a deep stretch class, like things that, are in your repertoire, but aren't normally something that they experience. So that's something you could do. And then it's actually kind of cool. You could make, if you are good at this sort of stuff, if you're using Squarespace or something easy, make a page on your website specifically for this yoga challenge where people come in and they put like a virtual token, like a sticker on the board. They could do that on a website or something like that. Or the other thought that I had, and this would be even better, is get them helping you with your social media. So to participate in the challenge, you do a class online, but when you're doing the class online, you have to check in on Facebook. Now, every single day for every class you have, people are checking in on Facebook and all their friends are seeing that they're doing yoga at home. They get the social credibility for it and you get the social credibility for it. So something simple like that. Not too complicated, but yes. Can reach out later, a couple of questions and answers. Doesn't seem to be a good time. Yeah, for sure, Novo Yoga. Send me an email. Also, at the end of this, we're going to try to make sure we have some Q&A time. So post them in there. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be good for the whole group, whatever questions there are that we have going on, but love to help. Okay, final thing. We did touch on this, but I don't think we got into any detail. I think this is more of a marketing play than anything else, but it does help engage your community. I think you should be the news for your people right now. You've got to think of the inundation of insanity in the news that they are receiving all the time. Last night, because Canada is tightening its borders, because we're in Mexico right now, and Mexico is absolutely unprepared for this. It's going to explode here in any moment. We're panicking to try to get a flight out, and my wife and I, who's pregnant, by the way, which is exactly why we were trying to speed up the process, are looking for a flight, and then we're going through all of the different news stories and stuff on YouTube, and it's like after 5 minutes you're like, I'm pretty sure the world is ending. I'm pretty sure that we're going to implode right now. So all I'm suggesting is it made it really hyper obvious to me that if you're watching the news right now, like, people are freaked out. They want to connect with you about something else. Be the news for them. So you can talk about this in a straightforward way. Talk about, coronavirus, COVID-19, but can you make it more lighthearted? Can you talk about some positive things? Can you talk about what they can do instead of what to not do? Can you change the angle of the conversation and be the news for them? Because what will happen, and this has happened often, is people will start to come to you for the news because they want to hear it from you because of how you deliver it, basically. So don't go hardcore and make an hourly update. I'm just saying this concept could be something you would do. How you would deliver this would be in a blog post. Blogs right now are like firing on all cylinders because of the SEO for all the search that's going on. Emails specifically that you're sending out to your members at a certain frequency. The idea of like the newsletter sort of thing, it's back, my friends. I mean, the newsletter in its traditional form has been dead for a long time, but sending out a regular update newsletter right now, good idea. And then live updates, jump on, go live. I mean, right now, who do I see on the screen? I see Mike, and then he's got the kids in the back there too, playing in a little tent. I mean, if you right now went live, my friends, to your crew and you're like, hey guys, we're just at home, just on lockdown like everyone else. I'm going to do a yoga class over here. I just got to get these toys out of the way. It humanizes the situation and shows the positive connection between you and them. This is good for you. It's also good for them. It makes us smile and be able to just, sort of chill out a little bit. Okay. Now, the final thing, or one of the final things before we go to sort of Q&A time, I'm trying to speed it up today to make sure we have more time for that, is go above and beyond for your members. There's a concept we've been talking about in my group for a while that very few studios probably implement on in a powerful way. It's called giftology. You can look it up. There's a book called Giftology as well. There's a whole company called Giftology that will send gifts to people for you. I don't think going with them right at this second is necessarily the way to go, but the concept is correct in that there are psychological brain wired, like we're wired for the rules of reciprocity, it's called. When you give something to someone, we want to give something back to them, basically. I'm suggesting right now that you could start that process of positivity, not because they're going to give something special to you. That's not the reason behind it. It has to be legitimately heartfelt. But what can you give to your members right now that's sort of at random? So this could be really simple. Like we were talking about some ideas yesterday as, we're planning podcasts on different topics and opening up office hours for 19 minutes to talk on different topics, Q&A. We're calling it Shelter at My Place. Yeah, that sounds awesome, Lisa. Love it. And so that would be an example. Or just like I did a rage yoga class a little while back, where in the middle of the class, you're playing like heavy rock music and you get to scream out swear words and all sorts of crazy stuff. It was really all over the place, but it was super fun, not from a yoga class standpoint, but from like a weird energetic release standpoint. Do something like that right now. Chris, hang on tight and we'll get FitGrid on there as well. Yes, you can unmute. You can definitely be launching on that sort of stuff as well. And so doing some sort of outside of the box fun class, something for people to vent, but also this is one of the times where honestly, and it might not even be easy to do, but like if you can still send a card to somebody, send them a card. Yeah, send a card, just don't lick the envelope. I love it, Heather. Yes. But yes, one of the things that you could look at, I'll put it in the chat here, it's called Cardly. I think it's cardly.net. I'm not, oh, no, that's Hardly. No, that's not it. That's not it. Cardly. Okay. Look up Cardly, Google search it, cardly.net, cardly.com, something like that. You pick a card, you write, they'll turn it into handwriting. They have a special thing that makes the handwriting look real because it makes it different sizes and the lines aren't straight and all that sort of stuff. You can say whatever you want. And then they'll even send it for you right from there. So right from your home with Cardly, you can actually send what look like handwritten cards directly to people. So something like that. And then the final thing that ties into this, we did touch on it yesterday, but to bring it back onto the equation, people are at home with their kids. If you're like me, your kids are going friggin' bonkers. My 4-year-old is not doing well with confinement. She has no idea what to do with herself. And we don't want her to just be on a device all day, obviously. So if you can do something to help get the kids engaged, like if you run a kids class, yoga, something like that, now's a good time to do that. Doesn't have to be big, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just anything like that at all. Or even if you don't run it, just share some kids stuff with people. Hey, here's a YouTube video for kids yoga that I found, something like that. Like just anything that can help, that just shows that you understand, could be another thing as well that can be really powerful here. Giving it all away. Oh, this was just a quick commentary, and then we're gonna go over to Chris for a second here. There are a lot of studios that are playing this game of like, I'm just gonna give it all away. We've kind of addressed that. I don't necessarily think that's the best strategy for you. I think you have to be really careful with that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, nutrition, meditation, ways to lift your spirit, relaxation techniques, things you can do at home, art projects for kids, classes for kids, cold fresh press juicing recipes, nutrition shake recipes, etc. Yes, Lisa, exactly. We were talking about a lot of this stuff yesterday. 100%. I would be doing a friggin' cooking class every single day if we still had our studio right now, just because it would be awesome. We did talk a little bit about FitGrid yesterday, Chris, but you have some updates for us? I haven't talked to Enti today.
Yeah, so they went live. They were approved late last night.
Yep.
And they will be so they're fully live and they're onboarding, and so it's for anyone who is who wasn't on the call yesterday, FitGrid has created an integration that basically automates when your clients sign up for Zoom, when they sign up via MindBody, it'll automatically ping an invitation to them. So It's exciting. I'm putting in the link in the chat right there, their landing page, and you can set up a onboarding call.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's a free 30-day demo, so it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, even if you just use it for the next 30 days to get yourself set up. FitGrid as well. So we did touch on this yesterday, but just to go back to it, because I think it's important. So FitGrid allows you, if you're using, this is specific to MindBody. So if you're not using MindBody, FitGrid is not specifically for you, but FitGrid allows you to, besides what Chris is talking about normally from a class-based system standpoint, put your teachers in direct contact with the students through their platform, so that you're not like giving them their information or anything weird like that. But it can be a powerful way to be engaging with the students of a specific class. So FitGrid does not work with Vimeo. It's through Zoom, Linda, that they actually made the integration. Now what they've added on is they've bridged the gap between Zoom and MindBody. So you would run your classes in MindBody like normal, rename them, hey, online class. It automatically through FitGrid sends out a reminder. It sends out the link for the Zoom, so they log in, all of that stuff. So it helps you automate this, especially if you're running them at high frequency. That can be a really powerful thing. If you're already using FitGrid, 100% go for this. If you've been looking at them and thinking about doing it, 100% go for this. But I do believe that it's a good way to go. We spent last night on Zapier and a bunch of other integrative programs to try to figure out if there's any other way to sort of integrate this. And honestly, there's 20, but you would have to start a whole new system of scheduling for all of your students and stuff, which right now is a mess. Don't do it. So yeah. And yeah, it was awesome that they got approved by Zoom. I was thinking that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So you would need MindBody, Zoom, FitGrid, all three. Yes, Val, you would need all three of them, which I think you have actually already. For Zoom, just to be clear, for any Zoom, whether it's FitGrid or otherwise, you guys, you need the pro level accounts. It's like the $14.99 a month, because otherwise your meetings can only go to 40 minutes and you can't have more than 100 people. So you're going to have to just go for it on that level slightly there as we go. Okay. What else do we got, my friends? Let's just go back through the chat here and see if we've missed anything. If you want to unmute yourself or you want to just post into the chat, now's a good time. We've got about 5 minutes that we've saved. It's perfect. Unpaid would get that as well. Don, I'm not sure I understand your question. You're saying unpaid would get that as well.
would unpaid also, like if you have a sign in and they're allowed to sign in unpaid, would they get the Zoom link automatically if we integrate with MindBody? Should I mark it as paid memberships only?
Oh, that's a great question. With the FitGrid
Because
yeah,
right now I allow unpaids in there, but
yeah,
I don't want them to get the link if they don't
Yeah.
pay.
yeah, I hear you. I would imagine that it does, because my understanding is when NT and I talked about the integration is it's a really strictly like just pretty straightforward cross through integration. So you might just change that in your mind body system right now temporarily if you're going to go with that integration. It's actually like changing the system a little bit for yourself. So people would have to purchase a class, and then that's where you would have, maybe so in this case, what we're talking about, just to reiterate, so we're really clear for everyone, we're talking about if you're using MindBody and FitGrid and Zoom to run an online yoga class together, and then someone needs to pay for the yoga class, if they didn't have a current membership, they would then be prompted to buy something in MindBody to pay for that class, which is good. Don't just give them a discounted single class. That would be the mistake here. You may, on the other hand, if the only options are unlimited membership or 10 class pass for $200, that might be a big jump and they might bounce. So put a smaller stepping stone in between. Maybe this is where you pull out like a random 3 class pass or 5 class pass or something that you wouldn't normally sell, but just because you want them to actually buy something and actually participate in a more serious level. That would be my suggestion at this point for that. Yeah. Thanks, Katie. Maybe changing schedule window. Schedule booking window to limit it. Sarah was making the point, maybe changing the scheduling booking window as well in MindBody. I agree, that's probably a good idea. So now what I would say though is if you can only book up until whatever, 10 minutes before normally, people are going to be a little bit impulsive now. One of the mistakes that we see with things that are live online in a circumstance like this is that we send a reminder or we say, hey, this is going to happen like an hour before, 2 hours before, the day before, but you don't send one 10 minutes before. There are a lot of people right now that are in their pajamas, ready to do a yoga class on their couch. You're going to launch one in 10 minutes and they just don't realize what's going on. If you hit them right then, they might make that snap decision. So I would just say, like, leading up to each of your classes, there should be, if they've pre-signed up, especially, there should be like some decent follow-up. And or for all of your classes, when we're talking about, hey, give a staff another job, once you have your schedule lined up, you could give a staff member the job. Okay, here's our schedule for the next week. I want you to go in to whatever you use, Frederick, Brambot, ConvertKit, like whatever it is that your email platform is. I want you to schedule emails and or text message to go out before each one of these classes at this frequency, 10 minutes before, 1 hour before, 5 hours before, to remind people that that's happening. Something to that effect, for example, you would be able to do. Just commenting back to Linda here. She's got a question for me. Yes, that would be cool. Any professionals, Linda, that we can get in on this that can give us a definitive answer on things? That's what we're really looking for. They just need to understand I'm going to push them for a definitive answer on things if they're coming on for anything. So yeah. Okay. Good time for push notifications, like through the branded app, to drive web traffic to those classes. Totally agree, Chris. One of the things right now, you guys, that I would consider is just that in general, this is like, there's an SEO play here, so there's a traffic on your website play here, and there's a public knowledge of your existence play. The silver lining of this is that as you start to build your business in this way temporarily, you're going to create a lot of local knowledge of your existence that maybe wasn't there before. So I would just look at it that way, as that's sort of the opportunity here is for people to really see what's going on. In that scenario, Billy asked, does the client need a FitGrid account to receive an email with the Zoom link? Currently 10 minutes before class, and I'm sending the sign-in sheet with the list of the thank you. Yeah, Billy's emailing right now. No, that's not really how FitGrid works, Billy. So they don't necessarily have to have a FitGrid account and be part of the FitGrid community. FitGrid has a few different things that it does, but one of them is it's just the centralizing distribution platform of communication. It is bi-directional, so they can respond, but it's just going to come to them in an email, so they don't have to have anything with it. Doing this now and it works, but it's tedious and clunky. Yeah, one of the things here is if we have a whole bunch of classes going, if you're running 4 classes a day, which is probably more than you even need right now, and you're doing this every time, like to manually do this stuff once or twice is not a big deal. But if we're starting to, I wouldn't like panic on this, but I would start moving towards just like everything else we build in our business as automated as possible, right? Same thing here. What are the emails that someone should get? What's the pipeline? How do I automate this process? What can I take off my plate that I have to do repetitively so that your stress level is low? Because I'm telling you right now, this might not go on for 6 months, but it's probably going to go on for another couple weeks. So if you're, and especially if you're the one as the owner right now doing all the lifting of sending these texts or emails or whatever else on any manual level right now, holy cow, like in 2 weeks from now, you're going to vomit if you see an email again. So just, you want to start getting yourself a little bit taken back from that through delegation and or automation would be what I would say. We mentioned yesterday board game social media meetups. Yeah, I would suggest using Zoom for that. So Terry was asking, what if you had like a board game or a card game or a dice game, like a social meetup in some way? I think that's perfect for Zoom because it's interactive like this. You could even limit the numbers a little bit if you wanted to create scarcity around it. But the bigger thing is, you need to make sure there's a game that can handle some volume. You could play Monopoly, whatever it is. But to have people be able to actually interact face-to-face, to talk, to do something nerdy, that they have nothing else going on, you're just giving them an option, but then they're connecting to that through you as well as you go. So yes, I think that's a good idea. Zoom would be how I would actually do that. Someone else is just commenting here that they've added 200 Instagram followers in the last 2 days. Yeah, people suddenly have realized they want to stay up to date. So when we're talking about this, like be the news and keep communicating with the public at large about what you are doing, you will probably, I would predict, organically have a lot of growth during this time for a few different reasons. One is the reason that you're putting out more volume, so there's more for people to run into. But 2 is because the normal psychology that we have been living with, where people are like, I don't know, double tapping, that's like a lot of effort. I'm not going to do that today. I'm pretty sure that that's breaking down a little bit right now. People are double tapping all over the place. So I think that it's going to be easier for you to gain followership on certain platforms right now than it maybe has been in the past. What are the logistics for groups of 50 plus for some who might appreciate getting connected? Yeah, Terry, so there's 2 ways to play this. Terry's extension of the question, I didn't see this, my friend, at first, is what if you do like a board game night, you can only have 10 people play the game and 57 of them show up. What do you do then? Be like, sorry, you guys are out, or we draw straws. So you do want to be prepared for that. There are 2 solutions. Solution number 1, which is the simplest solution, play a game that allows for volume. It's as simple as that. And it doesn't go through everyone, team people up, or do 3 rounds of it at a maximum of 10 people each. They have to pre-register. If someone jumps on, it'll be like, sorry, it's full. And it just makes it so that if you have that much response to it, what'll happen is you could do it 2 nights a week or something like that. And eventually people will come on for it. The alternative is, depending on the level of Zoom that you have and the platform, so go look at the Zoom page, zoom.us, to figure it out. You can have Zoom rooms. So you can actually, under your account, have Zoom room A, Monopoly room, Zoom room B, yoga room, Zoom room C, card game room, whatever, because that's how they use Zoom in big office buildings. So it is possible for you to set that up. There's probably some extra fees involved with that. Do you want to take it that far? I don't know, but you could go and check it out for sure. Okay, last couple of things here, then we're going to jump off for today. Make sure to tell people to be opted in. Now all of a sudden they want our emails. Yes, people can opt back into your email system. So I would be putting out communication through different lines, such as your social media, where they might still be following and be like, yo, we're sending out pure gold in these emails all the time, but you need to be opted into our emails, opt back in. or we have in the past successfully done an opt-in text message, this might be a time to launch that. So if you're using something like Brambot, its bulk texting is sort of on the way. It can kind of do it, but what you could do in any case is send out a text message that goes out to everybody who is unsubscribed from you and say, yo, I'm not trying to bug you, but I know you're unsubscribed from our system. If you want us to resubscribe you to our system, you get a free online class this week, and then you'll get our updates of all the fun stuff we're doing, such as bullet point list. You'll get a bunch of people who don't respond, and then you don't waste your time on them. You'll get, in one case, we had, I think, like 1,000 resubscribes. It was bananas. So it's possible to do that right now as well. Okay. It's FitGrid Gold. I don't know about the FitGrid levels, Billy. So just, I think they have like a trial, the 30-day trial. So I just reach out to NT, talk to them. They'll break it down for you in higher detail as well. Yeah. Turn on notifications for Instagram, stories, lives, posts, IGTV. Yeah, I think especially anyone in every one of your classes, I would be saying stuff like this. Hey, make sure you're subscribed to our emails, you guys. And also, if you're not following us on this social media channel, do that. And if it's YouTube, hit the bell or follow us on Instagram and turn your notifications on so that you stay up to date. We're going to be launching all sorts of fun stuff. So sort of gamify this a little bit as well. Okay. Thanks, Hot Yoga on the Island. Thanks, Suzanne. Love it. Much love. And who is your contact person at FitGrid? I talk directly to NT at FitGrid, who is the owner of FitGrid or one of the owners of FitGrid. So I would just go directly to those guys as well. All right. That's it for today, you guys. Tomorrow we're back on as well. It's going to be in the afternoon. It's 3 p.m. my time, which is a total nonsensical time zone. So I don't know what time that is your time. It's probably 4 p.m. CST, I want to say, something like that. So yeah, daylight savings happens in a different time here. I'm in central Mexico time. So yeah, stay strong, everyone. And yeah, much love. Keep doing good things. Keep your communities together. On the backside of this, not only do you succeed, but everyone's going to remember that you were the leader in the area that they went to when they needed it. So, all right. Peace.